Hey guys, Christoph the Polish Geek, and welcome to another movie review, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And I have to say, I really enjoyed Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, because early reviews I've been seeing lots of people saying, oh, spectacular action scenes, Tom Cruise action scenes and stunts at its best, but pretty much lacking in a story department, too long. But I have to disagree. Definitely not too long. For me, it actually flew by. I could not imagine the movie being shorter. Like, the movie is almost 3 hours long, and yet very much it flew by for me, at least. I think that the large dislike for the movie seems because this is very much the final one in the Mission Impossible series, so I think people admittedly were perhaps expecting it to go out with a bang, and understandable, like people are gonna have high expectations for the last in the franchise, but I did not, and as a result, I really enjoyed it. It's certainly not my favorite of the Mission Impossible movies. That still goes either to Fallout or Ghost Protocol, but that one certainly still is up there. Like I say, it's kind of on the same level as its predecessor, Dead Reckoning Part 1, but this one instead of being called Dead Reckoning Part 2, it's just called The Final Reckoning. But either way, I think that it's a really great second half and payoff to what Dead Reckoning set up, because, and the first thing we've talked about is the action. The action scenes and stunts of Tom Cruise are always spectacular, and let's face it guys, this is what people watch those movies for anyway, but yes, Tom Cruise and action scenes here are spectacular again. Maybe they're not going overboard with them, kind of like they are going in the previous one, because in the previous one there was a car chase, motorcycle chase, a fight in the train, gun shoots, sword fights, like you name it. They were like truly going above and beyond with the quantity of excellent and diverse fight and action scenes. But here I have to say, there aren't that many of them. I mean, no, there still is plenty and a lot of spectacular action and some of the best action I've ever seen in Mission Impossible actually, but I wouldn't say they're quite as different and diverse, and there aren't as many of them here, but I didn't mind that. Like, that shows that they were still kind of trying to actually focus on the story, even if not a particularly groundbreaking story, but then again, the stories in Mission Impossible movies, as I said, were never about the priority anyway. Like, the priority was, again, Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, and all his action scenes, but it doesn't change the fact that they always had an investing story that still kept you invested enough, because, again, action scenes objectively are still generally not interesting when you aren't invested in the story and the characters, so that's what always was so great about Mission Impossible movies. Sure, the action scenes were always very much a priority, but still story was generally interesting enough to keep you engaged and invested in all those fight scenes, and The Final Reckoning very much did it for me. My one issue with the movie, and we're about to talk about it, but first I'll talk a little bit about the story. And the story starts pretty much where the previous movie left off, where Tom Cruise has to stop the dangerous artificial intelligence from destroying all humanity, and this is kind of relevant subject for nowadays, because there's lots of talk about AI and all that. I admit, I really find it really creepy, honestly. I don't like AI. I actually don't generally speak my beliefs on this channel, but I'm one of those people that very much thinks that the development of AI should very much be stopped. That type of stuff really creeps me out, so, but, yeah, like, the subject is very relevant for the modern day, and so now the goal is very much to stop the AI from destroying all humanity. And some people could argue that the plot is very much too science fiction for Mission Impossible, which I understand where they're coming from, because objectively, Mission Impossible, sure, the stunts by Tom Cruise were certainly otherworldly and out of this world, or the whole of being able to just cover your face and change your body, sure, those things aren't objectively realistic, but other than those things, the Mission Impossible movies were very much grounded in reality. They were like those espionage movies with revolving around generally like terrorists, government conspiracies, you name it, but they never actually went as far as a science fiction, right? But then again, it's called Mission Impossible for a reason, so perhaps you can make an argument that every mission must be even more impossible than the previous one, and so it's natural that the very final movie probably has the most impossible mission of them all. As I said, if you think that this is too sci-fi like with the artificial intelligence, I understand where we're coming from, but I personally also find the subject very relevant to modern days, so I kinda like it actually, because again, the real AI really creeps me out. But another thing I have to talk about is that Hayley Atwell as Grace was such a welcome return, because Grace was by far my favorite female character in all the Mission Impossible movies, and she was actually the best part about the previous movie, and her return here was very welcome. Like, she was simply excellent. All the scenes with her were some of the best scenes in the whole movie. Again, she's my favorite female character in all the Mission Impossible movies, so seeing her was very welcome. And the one more thing I want to talk about is also the cinematography. Like, I really love the cinematography of this Mission Impossible movie. I mean, like, and the visuals and landscapes were so beautiful, especially during the final fight at the plane. Like, the green scenery was just so beautiful and feast for the eyes. Like, again, if you are watching my channel, you know I'm very sensitive to beautiful visuals and landscapes, and this Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning, especially the finale, had really beautiful and spectacular visuals and landscapes. I really loved that. Overall, lots of people seem disappointed with Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. I'm not one of them. I really enjoyed the movie. I think it's a really nice conclusion to a great action franchise. Maybe not particularly groundbreaking, but then again, I didn't really need it to be groundbreaking. It's satisfying, and it's all that matters. Maybe at the end, though, with what they did with artificial intelligence, maybe I would do something differently. Won't say exactly what this. Maybe I would do it a little bit differently, but other than that, I really had a great time with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I think it's a really welcome addition, and overall a really satisfying finale. Maybe not groundbreaking, but satisfying, and it's all that matters. And thank you guys for checking out this review. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you very soon, bye!